Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. Now, folks, as always, at stupid o'clock in the morning, we are going to that awful world of the JRC via the coverage that the overturn of the FDA ban has been getting. So, first of all, we're going to go over how MedPageToday is handling it. And as you can tell from the headlines, I got a distinct feeling I'm a rant at 3:54 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. So, there's that. And I guess I can always just lean and celebrate that today is my Friday. Okay, anyways. We are going to go over that, and also we are going to kind of take a brief look at what just got put in the Boston Globe yesterday. I was going to go over the article with you for that as well, but unfortunately, since they insist you gotta be a subscriber, we're just going to really be talking about the title. So, without further ado, before we get going, as always, folks, for the link to the article we are going to read today, please take a look at the description box. It's not only going to have this article, but other pertinent links when it comes to the Stop the Shock campaign, as well as the Change.org petition to close down the Judge Rotenberg Center. If you haven't already signed it, please do. Please continue to share it as well. Also, when we are talking about the JRC, folks, you will hear vivid descriptions of, and also see sometimes video footage of, people with disabilities being tortured. So, folks, if you have young ones present, please use your headphones. And like we always say here on this channel, it is stupid early, even for me usually. So if I butcher any words or jumble in any kind of sentences, like that there, my apologies in advance. So this comes to us today via MedPageToday. So, look what it says. FDA cannot ban use of electric shock devices for harmful behaviors. It almost seems like they're reveling in it with that sort of lovely little title. Appeals court rules in favor of U.S. facilities still using devices for behavioral treatment. Now, they're going to confuse you right away. You see those electrodes? That is not where the Judge Rotenberg Center puts them. That is where they are put for ECT. ECT is very much different from the GED devices that are used at the Judge Rotenberg Center. And in extreme cases, people with mental illnesses or various disabilities may resort to ECT. What we're talking about here is direct electrical stimulation to the brain. That is not what the Judge Rotenberg Center uses. MedPageToday, in case you actually give a damn. It is a device that is designed to hurt people. It is not electrodes that are close to the brain, like an ECT, but electrodes that are put here, 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 and on the backs of the calves. And the wires are strapped via your wrists and your ankles. So, right off the bat, I know this is going to be full of stupid, but let's dive into it, shall we? Let's see the level of stupid that MedPageToday has for us. Maybe I'll be shocked. No pun intended. But I highly doubt it. Last year, in a rare move, the FDA issued a final rule banning products known as the electrical stimulation devices when used for the purpose of reducing or stopping self-injurious and aggressive behavior. They immediately are toting the party line. How often have we seen this in the coverage, folks? Everyone is insisting that it's for self-injurious and aggressive behavior. But here's the thing, folks. What does the JRC consider self-injurious or aggressive behavior? Well, let's see. Refusing to remove your coat, blinking, standing up out of your desk to do so much as give somebody a hug, protesting in any way that you are being shocked by screaming because, I don't know, it fucking hurts badly, or, involuntary muscle spasms, which happens when you electrically shock people with electrodes that are literally designed to go directly on your muscles. Anyways, this week a federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. ruled against the FDA's ban in favor of the only facility in the U.S. still using devices in such a way. Well, at least you got that right. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center in Canton, Massachusetts, said that it provides education and treatment to individuals with behavioral, emotional, and or psychiatric problems, as well as those with intellectual disabilities and those on the autism spectrum. I love how we are constantly singled out. I swear to God, to these people, we're the damn boogeyman. Gotta control those autistics, or else, if you don't control us, we might do something crazy like create Silicon Valley. Just saying. After the FDA issued its rule in March 2020, the center, along with parents and guardians of patients who have received or sought to receive treatment, petitioned the court to review the ban. Because parents and guardians always know what's best for us. It's not like such a thing as child abuse exists. It's not like, courts are ever wrong, right? All I'm saying is, if that's what they are going to do to provide education and treatment, leave me illiterate. Just saying. The center explained that some of its patients suffer from severe self-injurious and aggressive behaviors that are difficult or impossible to treat using conventional behavioral or pharmacological techniques. How would you know, JRC? You like to use torture tactics that have been, by and large, completely abandoned by the freaking military. Their so-called conventional methods include sleep deprivation, removal of all normal food, and basically forcing you to eat this weird soy pudding concoction. Yeah. Conventional. Sure, Karen. Sure. And pharmacological techniques. Oh no, there's their party line again. It's this or we drug them to the gills. That's the only things that are going to work. No, Karen. There is so many other options. It's stupid at this point. I know, because again, boys and girls, I've worked in the field. I am a part of the mentor to mentor program in my state, for God's sake. I've been involved in this field in one capacity and another for over a freaking decade. Try again. According to court documents. Yeah, those court documents, this court is a freaking joke. Do your damn homework. The FDA did, and that is some of the most ableist language I have read in a freaking court document in years. We went over that 126-page summary, folks. They're not even seeing eye to eye with us on a good majority of things. Just saying. Additionally, some patients' behaviors are extreme enough that they suffered self-inflicted brain trauma, broken and protruding bones, and blindness. So we see this in the autism community a lot, and it is usually used to drum up donations. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. Autism speaks. Where they always go to the worst case scenario. Let me tell you some facts. In the autism spectrum, they would have you believe that self-injurious behavior to this extreme is actually the norm. It's not. It's extremely rare. Now, during meltdown, there is some self-injurious behavior going on. I'll admit it. I'll admit I've done it. I've said it before. I would slam a hairbrush down as hard as I could on top of my head, bristles down, repeatedly. I would bang my head on the floor. When I was younger, I would used to bite my arms. Not enough to draw blood because even in meltdown, apparently, I'm still squeamish. And I still maintain a certain amount of control. Not all of us do. But you see my point. That tends to be more towards the normal side of things. I have, during those head banging sessions, so to speak, not caused myself any type of brain trauma. I have never caused my bones to break or caused them to protrude from my skin, and certainly I have never caused myself blindness. Now, I'm not saying these things do not occur with some of us on the spectrum. I'm telling you they're not as prevalent as the JRC wants you to believe that they are. And in those cases where this is happening, there are, guess what, folks, myriads and myriads of different types of treatments from all over the world that you are able to try in order to reduce these behaviors. For the love of God, has none of these people ever heard of a freaking weighted blanket? I'm just saying. Just saying is all. Moving on. The devices in question, which are typically used to treat about 20% of the center's patients at any given time. I love how they like to downplay it, but it's only 20%, and it's the worst of the worst. Really? Did you show up at the JRC to confirm this? No, of course not. Of course you didn't. That would require you to not be lazy, actually get up off your ass and then do some real investigating. But in this day of clickbait journalism, I guess people just can't be bothered. Now can they? Administer brief electrical shocks through electrodes attached to the skin of the patients in order to reduce or stop their behavior, court documents noted. So they are going to rely strictly on court documents that is very much in favor of this center and very much biased. Speaking as an abuse victim, those so-called brief seconds, you can live a lifetime of pain and horror in those seconds. Number 2, they're not doing it once, Karen. They do it over and over and over again for the slightest offenses. But again, I guess investigative journalism is almost a dead art these days. We can't be bothered to actually back up any of this. Moving on. Through the center is currently unique in its use of devices. They have also been used to treat other conditions such as tobacco addiction. Oh God, here we go again. Okay, let's unload this. Tobacco users are not strapping electrodes to themselves. With a GED device that is literally only used at this school, I might add, with shocks 30 times more powerful. I think 3 times, 30 times, one of the two, than a police taser. At least 30 times more powerful than a cattle prod. Okay? to stop smoking. They're not doing that, Karen. I'm just saying. Also, a lot of times when we're talking about tobacco addiction or we're talking about other things such as ECT, again, not the same thing. These people want to confuse you. And I've seen it all over the Twitterverse. They want to relay and say that the GED shocks are the same as ECT. It's not. I've been around medical circles due to my parents my entire life. They are not the same thing. ECT is done in a very controlled environment. A person is always given some type of medicine, if not to entirely remove any discomfort, to at least assist in the pain in any way. It is heavily monitored. And the electrodes are put in only one area. Right here, right here. This page is full of shit. But moving on. God. In 2016, the FDA proposed banning the devices for self-injurious and aggressive behaviors due to a bevy of concerns. Yeah, well-founded concerns. Number one, abuse of fucking power. Just saying. The agency cited psychological and physical risks, including depression, fear, panic, worsening of underlying symptoms, pain, burns, errant shocks, and even post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes! Why are you even doubting that? I hope no one ever takes MedPageToday seriously ever again after this article. The FDA also concluded that there was weak evidence regarding the device's effectiveness for these harmful behaviors because it's true. Okay, you so-called doctors, allow me to explain it to you. By Matthews Israel's own admission, in court, I might add, as well as at the FDA hearings that started taking place in 2014, he admits that when the students are removed from the devices, the behaviors come back. And why do they come back, boys and girls? Because the underlying issue that is causing the self-injurious behaviors has not been addressed at all. At all. So, because of that, no device, no pill, no pseudoscience you want to throw at them is going to fix it because you keep ignoring the underlying issues that are resulting in the behavior. It's not rocket science. All right, moving on. When the FDA issued its final rule last year, they said it estimated about 45 to 50 patients at the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center were being exposed to the devices. Again, since their great victory, I'm betting money. I would put money that almost every single student now is being strapped. Just saying. The agency added that it believed that the state-of-the-art behavioral treatments, such as positive behavioral support and medications, can enable healthcare providers to provide alternative approaches for curbing self-injurious and aggressive behaviors in their patients. And ladies and gentlemen, that's just the tip of the iceberg of alternative therapies out there that can address these issues. Want to know how I addressed mine? Well, thank you so much for asking. I'm happy to tell you. I had a team that consisted of a neurologist, a psychiatrist, and a psychologist. I would go to the psychologist on a monthly basis. My underlying triggers that would cause self-injurious behavior was severe depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. Those are some of my underlying issues. Sensory issues also factored in as well as when I became overwhelmed by depression, other people's emotions, over sensory, I would then proceed in a meltdown. And when in meltdown, I would go into the old self hatred that comes from the PTSD from my past. And then, because of that self loathing, would then proceed to cause myself a form of harm, which ordinarily, in spite of all of that being there, I would not. It's underlying issues that on a day to day basis I would bury, that autistic meltdown would all bring up into the forefront. So, actual normal therapy is another way to treat it, to get to the underlying issues as to what is causing us to harm ourselves. And there's also all kinds of things. And that was all, by the way, part of what we call here in Missouri, person centered planning, which was a full approach of creating a circle of support for myself. Many of those folks are still around in my life, and attacking the different issues that I had coming up developmentally, obstacles that I had to living fully independently. So it covers more than just this. It covered the full round. It was treatment for the whole of what issues were popping up based on my diagnosis and the ableism that surrounds me on a daily basis. I didn't need no one to shock the crap out of me, is all I'm saying. But sorry, I got off on a tangent there. Ultimately, the U.S. Court of Appeals for District of Columbia Circuit cited the congressional statute in its ruling this week. In this case, the statute says that the FDA is not to construe its statute so as to interfere with the practice of medicine. I still find this completely amazing because the FDA interferes with the practice of medicine all the damn time. Most recently, look at the COVID virus, okay? The FDA and the CDC were interfering on a semi-regular basis to try and come up with a vaccine and getting it distributed as widely as possible to help combat the pandemic. You're going to tell me that's not interfering with healthcare? They also regulate drugs on the market to treat various types of disabilities and non disabilities all the damn time. They've also banned two other devices before when it looked like it would harm the patient more rather than help. That is their statute. So the court can take its opinion and shove it squarely up its ass, because they apparently don't know shit. That means that the FDA may not enact the regulation at issue before us, because we conclude that the FDA lacks the statutory authority to ban a medical device for a particular use. We do not address petitioners' other arguments, including whether the ban was arbitrary and capricious, or whether substantial evidence supported the FDA's factual determinations. At least you called it factual. Oh my God, who was that judge? I need to send them a fruit basket. What's messed up is they're sitting there saying the FDA has no authority to do this. Then why give them any authority at all? If they cannot do what their statute has told them to do, to regulate medicine, actual like medication, surgical gloves, hair follicles, my God, the list goes on. Oh, but for this one thing to stop the torture for people like me, well, they just don't have the right to do that. Spare me. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center said in an emailed statement that it, along with the parents and guardians of the patients, are pleased that the court vacated the FDA's rule because the agency interfered with the practice of medicine when not authorized to do so. Bullshit. You're just happy that you get to keep your $285,000 a head. Just say it. We like torturing people with disabilities, and we like being given ungodly amounts of state-funded money, out-of-state funded money, and donations in order to continue to torture them. Because how dare you exist? We must exterminate you. We must make you hate yourself. We must make you not want to live. Because that's what this sort of treatment does. You don't believe me? Go look up Jennifer Masumba. Okay, moving on. The device is used as a treatment of last resort, and its recipients are at risk of grievous bodily harm or even death without it. Again, folks, they're going to those extremes. They want you to believe that every person on that device is a danger to themselves without it. It's horse shit. Jennifer Masumba was not a danger to anyone. Anyone. Neither was Andre McCollins. They like to mention the one time he broke the staff's fingers. I'm sorry, but if you were trying to put that device on me and I took it off and you were going to come over and chastise me, I would have done a hell of a lot more than break your fingers. He was possibly completely restrained, in my opinion. With the treatment, these residents can continue to participate in blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read it because it's so full of shit it makes me want to vomit. Being tortured is the exact opposite of freedom and safety. If you can't figure that out, get the hell off of my channel. You have no business subscribing to me, and I hope you burn in hell. Moving on. In a separate statement, the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, they want you to believe, we've been over this, that there's no other treatment for their loved ones. They have drank the Kool-Aid, folks. They've used all the treatments available, my ass. Because if they had, they would realize finding out the underlying issue that's actually causing the issues is more important than what it looks like to the outside world. Just saying. All right, so now I want you to see something in contrast here, and it was a beautiful thing. I'm not going to do the whole article because they want me to pay money for it, and quite frankly, I am now officially broke until next payday. But I want you to compare and contrast that with what just came out yesterday from the Boston Globe. It says, to stop controversial electric shock therapy, the disability community is owed better alternatives. Thank you. So you see that wording, yes? Yes, and remember, this is one of the biggest papers in the local area. So compared to these doctors here, the Boston Globe and anyone with a fucking soul or a heart knows that this is not okay. Even playing devil's advocate. Say these parents are right. Let's go down that rabbit hole they want us to go down for 5 minutes. Is this still the best we can do? Is this still the only answer? To punish and torture people for behaviors that are entirely not their fault? It's not to seek attention. It's not to try and cause chaos. It's behaviors that even they say they have no control over, right? So, why are we insisting on torturing these kids further than what you're stating they're already torturing themselves? Wouldn't you think it would be better if it has been proven that this device, over a long period of time, when someone is removed off of them, does not get better, but in fact all the behaviors return? Wouldn't it be prudent then to come up with other treatments that will actually work, that does not cause further harm to the patient? I would just think that would make logical sense. But MedPageToday, unfortunately, doesn't operate off of common sense. And I would say if you see anyone with a MedPageToday magazine in your doctor's office, leave that doctor office and find a new doctor immediately. All right, folks, so that's all I've got for you for this morning. Now, as always, folks, we don't get very many views on this channel. And the few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.